Hi everyone, welcome back to Real Life Gays. Welcome to our June episode. This is episode 22 in our YouTube channel. Welcome back. How have we been? Rhys, how have you been?
Good, very, very good. Thank you very much.
Really?
Nothing very exciting to tell you.
No, boring. Lee, what about you?
I'm all good. I'm now in my new place, just me, and it's lovely.
It looks very quaint. I love your little place.
It does.
So we've all got our little homes now, so cheers to that. We're all adults now.
Yes, to the adult life.
Cheers.
We're all in our 30s and our 40s now. How does it feel to be 40, Lee?
Fabulous.
Yay, fabulous.
Lily had a birthday since we last filmed.
I know, yeah. That was that long ago. Yeah. Did you have a good birthday?
I did, yeah. Spent with family and other half, so yeah, I was very spoiled.
You got spoiled. You definitely did get spoiled.
Have you got our present handy?
It's up there.
Is it?
Grab it.
Show the world your present that me and Gareth got you.
I think Lee was a little bit happy with it.
just slightly. He seemed quite happy.
Look at it.
I think what does it say? Here's to the
here's to the night that turned into mornings with the friends that turned into family, and then Rhys, Lee and Gareth at the bottom.
Oh, look at
us three.
With our glasses of cocktail.
I did wonder, where's my glass? Unless I've got two.
Your hands are already filled with us. Oh, I love it. I love it.
I'm glad you liked it, Lee.
I'm
It
glad.
was very, very nice.
The next big birthday is 50, so
I did get a bit emotional, as you saw.
we did. But that's why we did it. We wanted it to be an emotional gift.
You wanted me to cry.
Which isn't hard to do.
No.
So this month we are talking all things kink. Kinks and stinks and drinks.
Sorry, Nan.
Yes, so if you are easily, I wouldn't say offended.
Squeamish.
Squeamish, lock out now.
Crude.
We are going to basically talk about fetish and kink, and I've got a list here of the top 21 kinks in the UK. Okay, now a lot of these will translate to the world, but some of them are more common than others. Some of them you've not ever probably heard of before. But the point is, we're just going to talk about them, try and educate people about what they are. And yes, so I'm going to start by saying that there is a difference between fetish and kink. Okay, so they're often used interchangeably because they kind of mean the same thing. So a kink is an activity, okay, or behavior that someone enjoys and that exists out with the traditional normal sexual activity. Okay, so things that are normal sexual activities, such as blowjobs, actual sexual intercourse, anal sex, all these other activities are just traditional sexual acts. They're not classed as kink, okay, because they are traditional and they're normal. Okay, someone's kink may be bondage. They may be incredibly excited when they're tied up, or someone may have a bondage fetish, okay? And their entire sexuality may revolve around restraint, okay? So you've also got like turn-ons. So a turn-on may be something that simply arouses a person, okay? And I think it's crucial to say that all people of all gender, race, orientations, whatever, can be kinky. And what's kinky to one person may be considered vanilla to another.
Yeah.
Okay? And what I'm going to read here is fetishes get stigmatized because they're reasonably rare. Okay, there's a lot of sexual shame in society. And because they often involve impulses that puzzle the masses, for example, insects all over your genitals, attraction to vomit. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, but see, reactions like that. But the point that the brain wants what it wants. Okay. And one of the sayings that I've learned over the years is, I will never yuck someone's yum. Okay, I'll never yuck someone's yum.
That's
Because
clever.
I'm like, if that's for you, that's great. That's not for me, but
It's
good
not
for
for me.
not for me. But I'm not going to yuck your yum because it's never good. It's never good when someone yucks your own yum. Okay, it's like someone says anal sex. That's fucking disgusting. How dare you? And you're like, oh, how dare you? But if you're like, if that's for you, great. I'm not going to yuck your yum. So remember that saying. Okay, if you find that someone's into something, don't ever kink shame them. Never good. Okay.
You know, yuck your yum.
So I'm going to go through the list of the top fetishes and kinks, and I'm going to see what, first of all, I think you'll know some of them already. Okay, but number one.
Do you wait? Do you want an automatic reaction, or are we sticking to the do not yuck your yum kind of thing?
Well, I also feel that if there's anyone watching this that has any of these kinks, if you react in a negative way, what's that going to make them feel like?
Right. Okay.
So if you say, if someone is really into vomit, which is really not for everyone, and they probably know that, which is why they don't probably admit it to people. If your reaction is to vomit, that might put them further back into that kink closet. Okay? People who are kinky and gay, for example, feel like they have to come out of the closet twice. Okay? They come out as gay, but then they also have to come out as kinky. Okay? And if people yuck their yum, they'll stay in that kinky cupboard a lot longer, especially the more obscure and not socially acceptable that kink is. Okay.
So you're basically saying I need to be professional.
Game face. Now, don't get me wrong, our reactions are probably going to be what most people are. So again, if people have that reaction or have that kink, they're probably well aware that people will react a certain way.
I've had a gin and you're asking me to be professional.
So just be yourself. Okay. Just try to limit the reactions, but there's nothing on my list that's ridiculously out there. I say that now. So number one, nice and easy, bondage. Okay, so what's bondage? Rhys, what's bondage?
Bondage, that's like tying up, gagging, whips and chains.
Okay, Lee.
Is that like a slave master type thing?
Okay, Lee.
I was thinking possibly the same, like maybe being tied to crucifix of some description, getting spanked and whipped and all sorts.
Okay, so bondage is one part of the BDSM kink. Okay, bondage doesn't have to include gagging. It does not have to include impact play like spanking. Does not have to include whips. Or chains. It can have any type of restraint, which could be rope, it could be simple handcuffs, it could be leather ties, it could be silk, scarves, anything. It does.
50 Shades of Grey?
No. 50 Shades of Grey, I can do a whole episode about how bad that is and how damaging that was to the kink community. It's just awful, awful movie that promotes rape. Okay, so let's not go into 50 Shades of Grey. However, what 50 Shades of Grey did to the kink community was put it on the map. Okay, when you ask, B&Q, for example, and Love Honey website, all these websites that have kink sex toys on them, their sales after 50 Shades of Grey for their bondage stuff went through the roof. Okay, people were going into B&Q and buying chains and rope and duct tape because they were copying what they were seeing on 50 Shades of Grey or what they were reading in the book before the movie then came out. Okay, so what 50 Shades was good for was putting kink on the map and making maybe the more heterosexual normative women in the world go, I could tie my husband to the bed or be kinky with my boyfriend or whatever. And it made people maybe delve into the world of kink that they didn't necessarily have had access to before. So that's what 50 Shades was good for, but it didn't portray the proper lifestyle of a BDSM relationship. It was not a healthy one. So we'll just put that to aside. But bondage in itself, I'm going to read the definition here, okay? So, bondage is a type of activity where you restrain your partner with things like rope, tape, or cuffs. Bondage is a trust exercise above all and can be done for its own sake, such as Japanese bondage in particular is aesthetically beautiful and sexy to do, or to add other kinds of sensation from intercourse or impact play such as spanking and more. It should be practiced with caution, blah, 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 blah. So the Japanese rope bondage is the kind of bondage, you will see someone, a model or a man or woman that has all the fancy rope work on it. It's called shibari. So shibari is artwork of rope around the body, and it could look really beautiful. And it is an art form. People, don't necessarily take part in it for sex, they take part in it for art. But you'll find bondage, like all of these kinks we're going to talk about, can relate to a lot of people's sexual lives as well. A lot of them are intertwined. So bondage, you were bang on. It is all about being tied up, but it doesn't necessarily have to involve other things like the impact play and the gagging.
Was that number one on the list, that one?
Number one. And I think it was probably number one before 50 Shades of Grey, but I put it even further up on that list.
I was going to say, because like a lot of people, mainly straight people, when they think of gay people, straight away their mind goes to BDSM. Why do we think
they go to leather? Yeah, and it's because I don't know why there is an automatic connection from gay people to just all kink, really. But it's true. I don't know why that the LGBTQ community is more heavily involved in kink. I just don't know.
Do you think it's because as gay people we were the first ones to kind of introduce this stuff to the world?
Maybe.
Like the leather and all that. I mean, personally, not for me. However, even when I think of gay guys, my brain automatically sometimes goes to gimp mask and leather jackets, and that's not my fetish, but it's the image that has been put in your head from society.
Yeah, it's the image that's been in this, the multimedia. It's been everywhere from the get-go, and because it was the stereotypical gay man back in what the 60s, 70s, 80s. Yeah. The handlebar moustache and the leather jacket and the bluff. They're still popular now. The bluff. They're called leather daddies and leather men. I appreciate the beauty of that. But I wouldn't say just straight people, because you've just said you do it as well. You automatically think leather.
Yeah.
Whatever, when it can be so much more than that.
Yeah.
So yeah, number one, bondage. And most people, whether they're into it or not, have probably tried it at least once. A little bit of fluffy handcuffs, it's just, it could be something so simple, or it could go from little handcuffs to full-on mummification. There's lots of things that it can go to.
Candle wax?
No, that's sensation thing. We're getting to that.
God, Lee, was you not listening?
So, moving on from bondage. Next one is an interesting one, and it's kind of self-explanatory. Age play.
Age play.
Okay.
Like daddy's son.
What do you think that means? Yeah, Rhys.
Like daddy's sons are young and old.
Lee?
Yeah, same, something like that.
So I'll read it to you. Age play is a kind of fetish that involves an exchange of power. In this activity, partners will role play and act as if they are different ages than what they actually are. A common combination is an adult and a baby, who will be cared for like an infant or a young child. Age play can also be categorized as a form of dominance and submission play, where the partner playing the younger person is often the submissive one. This isn't to be confused with I really struggle with some of these words. Autonopiophilia, where the person gets sexual pleasure from dressing up or acting as a baby. Okay, not necessarily the act of role playing as someone of a different age. More of that in a bit. So that'll come up later. So age play is basically just acting, the traditional schoolgirl.
So that's completely different to what I thought.
Well,
I genuinely thought like a young guy and an old man, like, and then there would just be that.
But it's more of like the what's the word?
So they could be the same age biologically, but they're acting younger.
With their younger guy.
It's like if me and Lee got together and I was like, Lee, I want to be a baby. I want to wear a nappy. I want a dummy, and I want you to treat me and, what's the word? Not nurture me, as if I was a child, and I would get, mental pleasure and go a happy place because I'd feel safe. I wouldn't necessarily want sexual stimulation from it. A lot of it could be a mind thing and getting into that kind of sub baby headspace. And that's what age play is.
Without waking up the Karens of the world, and you're more than welcome to cut this out, do we think there's like issues there?
And, well, there is, because a lot of people automatically think if you want to act like a baby, you must be a paedophile or you must have something wrong.
Not so much. No, I wasn't thinking more of the paedophiles, like childhood issues. Like, I don't know. I feel like something happened in your childhood for you to feel like you need to go back.
Wasn't loved enough as a child type thing.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Yeah.
I don't mean to offend.
No, but no, this is why we're doing this, because a lot of people will probably have the same thoughts. And a lot of people, again, I relate it back to being gay. You know, people say, well, something must have happened to you as a child to be gay. You know, why have you made this choice? Why are you doing this? Were you abused? Were you treated this way? And you're like, no, I'm just born this way. And it's the same with people with kinks. They're born this way. You know, a lot of people know their fetish and kink before they know their sexuality. They don't choose to want to. They don't feel like they want to be a baby. It's just in their blood. It's in their system that if they get some sort of sexual or mental satisfaction or gratification with being treated as a baby, and there's an avenue to explore that down, you know, in the world of kink. Who are they harming? They're not harming absolutely anybody. It doesn't mean they were traumatized as a child. It might be. They might not had that mother figure or father figure and they crave it from someone else. That might be true in some people's cases, but not all the time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, cool. That's not what I thought it would be, though, that age thing, but yeah.
See? Now, the next one is one I never knew about. I knew there was a certain thing, I just didn't know the name. So this one's called queerophilia. Do we know what queerophilia means?
I feel like you've already told us and I've forgotten.
I'm sure you mentioned it off camera, and
He did. Touching hands.
It's a hand fetish, yes.
Okay, so what does that consist of? Because I like being touched.
Well, I do.
Yeah, tell me.
So, also known as a hand fetish, queerophilia, and since any eroticization of a specific part of the body is often referred to as partialism, okay?
That's what I read. Yeah.
Queerophilia is sometimes referred to as hand partialism. A person into queerophilia is especially drawn to fingers and hands. Queen who? This fetish really isn't too surprising, since hands are such a significant sexual tool. Many of us have daydreamed about the feeling of hands all over us, so this just takes such an erotic focus a few steps further. Hand fetish may involve an attraction to certain parts of the hands, manicures, or certain acts performed by the hands, from washing dishes to hand jobs. If you have a hand fetish and want to explore it with your partner, you should talk to them about ways you can introduce it into your sex life, maybe as a form of foreplay. So it's basically, I mean, yes, you use your hands all the time, but it'd be more focused in on the hands itself. So you could be like, ooh, let me, putting gloves on, you know, just stroking your face. If that gets it on, it would be such an easy kink to have because everyone's got hands. And they're on display all the time.
I don't think that's like a too out there one. I think that's quite.
What about like if someone gives you change like that? Ooh.
It would be amazing if you got turned on by it. You'd be turned on all the time.
Sorry, I don't use card. I want change.
Let me just see your hand. Oh, your hands. Oh, you bite your nails. Oh.
So yeah, I don't think I would have that fetish because I just like to be touched, but it's not.
You like what the hands can do, not the hands in particular themselves.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. So a good number 4 right from that is a foot fetish. Now, foot fetish to me is up there with one of the top most popular things. You've got celebrities like that guy who was on Love Island, happily admitted it. Ricky Martin has admitted that he's got a huge foot fetish. But if you go into Ricky Martin's Instagram, you will see a lot of pictures of feet, whether it's his own feet, or his partner's feet. There's a lot of pictures of men's beautiful feet. Now,
that director's got one as well. What's his name? The crazy director.
Quentin Tarantino?
Thank you. He's got one. In all of his movies, there's always a shot of feet.
And it's one of the ones that is more widely accepted.
Kill Bill, when she tries to wiggle her toes.
Watch any Quentin Tarantino movie, there's feet.
And it's in a lot of movies, especially women's feet, you'll see the man putting the stockings on the lady or taking her shoes off sensually, giving her feet a little rub. It is a huge kink, and within the gay community, it is a huge.
Very normal. I think it's quite a normal one.
It is a normal one. Now you'll get people who are like, "Ugh, feet disgusting," and there's lots of people like, to me, feet are feet. I'll take or leave them. They don't disgust me, but I'll happily suck a toe. You know what I mean? But it doesn't gross me out, but I don't long for it. I don't like, shove a foot in my face. I don't care. So I'll read it to you. A foot fetish, well, it's self-explanatory, means you're sexually aroused by feet. Also referred to as foot partialism. People with foot fetishes may be attracted to seeing feet in certain footwear, such as high heels, stilettos. They might enjoy interactions with feet, including massaging or toe sucking, while some prefer embellishments of the feet, such as fresh pedicure or tattoos. In certain cases, a person may appreciate the feet more than the person they're attached to. They should really be looked at as an added source of a turn-on, not a substitute for a real connection with another person. In fact, you can think of any kink basically this way: a cherry on top, erotic treat, or a way to focus desire and arousal. So yeah, I've got a lot of friends who are on Tinder, for example, and they get these random men, messaging saying, "Send me a picture of your feet." I think even one of our friends on TikTok's had it on TikTok. Someone said, "Oh, I see you've got a toe ring in one of your TikTok. Can you send me a picture of your toe?" And she was like, "A block." It's never a good way to interact with someone.
Here's my PayPal.
Yeah, give me the money, I'll pay you. I'll show you. But it is a huge industry, foot fetish, and it's again such an easy thing to have access to because they're everywhere. And a relatable fetish for that would be people who are into shoes. It said they're high heels, but American sneakers, trainers as we would call them in the UK, are a huge turn on for a lot. And socks. People like the smellier or the sweatier the sock, the better. People love it's like I think we'll come on to it later. Sensation, like smell.
Yeah.
People like if you've wore your socks all day or your shoes, to smell your shoes and smell your socks. That gets a lot of people off because it's especially for men, it's that that's that masculine stench.
I would turn on quite a few people right now because I have just finished work and not showered.
So yeah, go ahead. Fetishes, you're welcome. The next one, we might not have heard of this one, is somnophilia. Somnophilia. Somnophilia.
Is it a fetish over yoga?
Think of Disney's Sleeping Beauty.
Sleep?
It's people who are
turned on by sleep.
Turned on by sleep.
People who are sexually aroused by people who appear to be sleeping or unconscious.
So they would do something whilst that person was sleeping.
So I'll read it.
I need to find a man that's into that.
Somnophilia. So just lay there asleep and then they do
pretty much, yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes actually says here, sometimes referred to as Sleeping Beauty syndrome, is defined as getting arousal from a person who is seemingly asleep or unconscious. This kind of fetish also involves an exchange of power, where the person awake is normally the dominant position. However, it should always be approached with consent, as should all sexual kinks and fetishes. All should be approached, blah, 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 because if someone is genuinely asleep, don't just start playing with them.
It's illegal.
So again, it would be an easy one to kind of act out, because you can just say, look, just pretend to be asleep and I will get turned on by it. So
I quite like that one. That might actually be my fetish.
Somnophilia. No, you have to enjoy it. You don't just want to sleep.
No, I think I can see it from both sides. And I actually think
but if you want to do it for the other, if you want to, do it for the other person, even though some people may not be that much into a certain fetish, but I'll quite happily lay there and pretend to be asleep if they want to do whatever they want, and that turns them on.
I have done that many times.
Easy life for you guys, isn't it? You do know.
What's that one called again?
Somnophilia. Beauty.
Here we go. Let's take notes.
Take notes and then find a Google page for people that are into that.
I'm going to take notes for my other half. Right, we're going to do that.
Lots and lots of avenues online for any of these kinks.
Is there?
Yes, trust me. Any kink, you just type in, there will be a huge...
I am so innocent.
Please.
I'm innocent too.
Yeah, I'm me.
Next one is a very unusual one because I've never heard of it before. It's called catoptronphilia. Again, if anyone is into any of these and know how to pronounce it, I apologize if I'm doing this wrong. So, catoptronphilia.
Catoptronphilia.
Yeah, catoptronphilia. I don't think you will guess it. It's a fascination.
Is it robots?
No.
No.
It's a fascination with mirrors.
Ooh, Rhys, that's you.
That's me. That's my whole life.
I think it's a lot of people, but you don't get sexual arousal from looking in a mirror.
Yeah, I do. I mean, have you seen me? I'm joking.
I will read it to you. I mean, you can tell me if this is you. A fascination with mirrors, or more specifically, watching yourself in sexual situations known as catoptronphilia. People who like this kind of play may have a mirror by their bed or masturbate to their own mirror.
Oh, yeah, we've done that.
Is there a mirror? It'd be worse if it was on the ceiling.
I actually might have this.
So basically,
I actually want one.
In other words, essentially means you enjoy having sex in front of a mirror.
I do. I actually do. I don't
it's
think
nice to be able to see what's going on.
Yes.
Especially so you can look over behind you and you can see what's going on.
You get a whole 360.
360.
This practice is often portrayed in porn. Porn is not intent, blah, blah, and it just said you have to obviously be strategic to where you place it so you can catch the best glimpses of yourself. I didn't know there was a word for that. Do you know what I mean? So,
I didn't know that was even a thing. Like, I just assumed everybody had a mirror in their bedroom for that reason.
Like everything I'm reading here, a lot of things I'm saying, you're like, oh, that sounds quite fun, but it's not a necessary fetish of yours. You just don't need it. It's not a need for you to be sexually aroused. You don't need that mirror. That's someone who has this fetish is they need it for their arousal.
So I used to have a mirror at the bottom of my bed when I was living in Nottingham on the chimney breast.
So the fact that I just enjoy the fact that the mirror is there, but I could easily have sex without the mirror there, makes it not a fetish.
No, you don't have that as a fetish. It's just something you wouldn't mind.
I am so vanilla.
Next one we have discussed it throughout this episode so far is sensation play. So I think that's self-explanatory. Anything that's sensation, such as wax on the body, whipping, flogging, and spanking.
Did you know? I didn't know this. There's special candles that only heat to a certain temperature.
I didn't know
Don't
that.
just go to IKEA and buy the big church candles because that will burn like a mofo. There's actual special candles that only burn to a lower heat.
I did not know that.
And neither did I.
How did you find that out?
Because
You're breaking up there.
Don't be shamed. Tell us.
Sorry, it's the Wi-Fi. It's not. It's an ex of mine, and they had this candle, and I was like, "Oh, that's an unusual candle," because it's I think it was red in colour or something like that. Anyway, you lit it, and then you wait a couple of seconds, and then you like tip it on, and literally as soon as it touches your skin, it kind of dried into a little wax bits.
Was it nice? Did you enjoy it?
It was all right. It didn't really do anything for me. It was kind of weird.
But sometimes,
I suppose, like, if you were to have a massage and have the hot stones, I wouldn't necessarily enjoy having the hot stones down my back or anything like that. But the only annoying thing was you're tipping it all like that, and it's all little drops of this red wax that have then dried. So you've got all little tiny bits, about the same size as your fingernail, of this red wax, and then you've got to get it off.
And it rips your hair.
You might as well just get a wax.
Didn't really do anything for me, but tried it once, didn't like it, like most things.
Well, I'll read this to you. The one overarching thing often said about kink is that it is erotic play that includes the whole body, not just the genitals. Sensation play can definitely include the genitals, but it's also common to engage parts of the body we don't think of as erogenous zones, like the back. In sensation play, there's a focus on the body and the many sensate experience we can have. So flogging, massage, temperature play involving ice cubes or candle wax. Tickling and other kinky play can all fall under the category of sensation play. So tickling is a huge one.
This side of my neck, for some reason, is really sensitive. This ear and this side of my neck, for some strange reason, I don't know.
There was a documentary, I don't know if it's on Netflix, might be on Netflix, where this reporter went undercover into this land of tickling, male tickling, where this company were kind of tricking straight men into being tied up and tickled, and then their videos were then sold, and they were making a lot of money. But then these boys asking for their material to be removed, and they were refusing. And it got all really complicated, but it was really interesting. It was like the underworld, dark world of like male tickling. It was so interesting. But there is a huge market for people who just enjoy seeing guys getting tickled or being tickled. Again, do you enjoy it? I don't think the point of enjoying.
If somebody tried tickling me, two things would happen. I'd punch them in the face and I would piss myself. So no. I don't see it as a bad fetish or what.
So Gareth, our task is, when we all three meet,
tickle Rhys.
Try and get him to piss himself before he punches us.
That's more likely to happen than me punching you, because I quite like you guys. But
I mean,
I'll tie him up and then tickle him.
I hate being tickled. I hate it.
But I can understand that fetish, because it is more, again, the dom sub dynamic, and
I get that.
You can get there's a sensual tickling, which is when someone just lightly does that on your back. It's like,
yeah, like an erotic massage, like
feather or a silk scarf.
And so like everyone's probably done a little bit of spanking without even realizing that they were engaging in some sort of fetish play. And again, you take a little bit of impact play like that on the bum or the back or whatever, but some people can really go for it to leave a big red.
You got to leave a mark.
And do you guys know what flogging is?
Isn't that with a bat?
No, that would be paddling.
Oh, it's flogging when you're throwing something at somebody.
No.
Like tomatoes.
A flogger is like strips usually of a material. It's usually leather. So and then you would just kind of like, instead of a whip, a flogger.
That was on that movie.
You on Pornhub again?
No, with the religious movie. What was it called? With the guy from Forrest Gump.
Tom Hanks.
And then there was like this. It was flogging himself.
Are you thinking of Castaway?
No, not Castaway. Angels and Demons, not Angels and Demons.
Oh, yeah, the Da Vinci thing.
Da Vinci Code. That was
he
it.
flogs himself in the Da Vinci Code.
No,
not
a priest does.
A priest does.
Oh.
But he has a thing like that, but it's got metal bits on, and that's probably going like way. I don't think he was doing it pleasure.
That's for some people.
Yeah, for some people.
Each to their own.
Again, most people have probably done some massage, for example, sensation play.
Always. Big time, yes.
Number 8, I think, is quite self-explanatory. Electrostimulation.
Is that something to do with electricity?
Oh my god, no way.
I'm so clever.
So, it's self-explanatory, but I'll read it to you. Electrostimulation can be considered a subset of sensation play. It involves creating arousal through a sensation of electric shock. Electricity play uses toys or devices that issue a mild shock or sometimes a zappy feeling pulse. This is different from vibration and can get fairly intense. Most are below the waist only because it's important to keep the electricity away from the heart. It is important to learn the ropes of this kind of play before delving into it, since using the wrong tools can be dangerous. Beginners shouldn't use intense shocking tools like tasers. Those aren't beginner level at all and require quite a bit of know-how to avoid damage. So I think...
Hold on. People that aren't beginners actually use tasers?
No.
I don't think
tasers
are not. I don't even think they're legal in this country. So this is like... I don't know if that's... if this person... I don't know. I don't think tasers are legal in this country. But But I think what's the most that I know.
Star Trek. Set tasers to stone. Show my age.
Role play.
But the most common I would say is like a TENS machine. So if people wanted to put TENS stuff on their...
Oh, is that like them things you put them belts around your tummy to get a sick well? I've got one. I think it doesn't work.
That would be like your what they call it, your ab stuff, your slender tones and stuff.
Yes,
it's a similar thing where you've got the little pad. You've got a tension where you can turn it up to a level that some people might find comfortable and other people want it to properly give them a shock. And again, it is more usually found in a BDSM lifestyle when someone is usually sub and wants that electoral stimulation as part of their sexual activity. But there's lots of things. You also get like the zap little gun that I've seen on Love Honey, where it's like it's like a stick, and literally you go and
you know what's good as well? Do you know them fly killers?
They scare me.
That's a cheaper version instead of
the cheaper version. Poundland, $1.99.
I am so vanilla. This is scary.
But I mean, when you do that yourself, everyone's had a fly swat and just had to do it. And you're like, oh, it doesn't.
No, it scares me.
It doesn't ridiculously hurt. It gives you an interesting sensation. So a lot of people would like that on their bum or anywhere else. It's part of a sexual activity. So yeah, there you go. Electrostimulation. The next one is again self-explanatory, and you did mention it as part of bondage, would be gagging. So you obviously know what gagging is, but it could take on more...
Tape, hand.
Yeah.
Is gagging different to choking?
Yes. So, well...
Obviously, gagging is mouth and choking is neck, but it's the same airway.
So sexual kinks like gagging can fall under the umbrella of dominant and submission play. It is a vehicle for increasing the helplessness of the sub by making them drool, unable to speak, and humiliated. Again, the practice of gagging should involve consent, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, it could mean, ball gags. It could mean tape. It could mean bandanas. It could mean a hood. It could mean...
Does that mean, sorry, Nan, deep throating as well?
Well, gagging can also take on that role of if you're silencing someone, with your penis. It could also mean...
I do love a bit of fellatio.
So yeah, gagging is basically silencing someone with either a part of your body, your hand, your penis, whatever, or using other objects to stop someone from speaking, or drilling. Because there can also be a sense of humiliation. You get gags that open the mouth, so they can still speak, but it's all about drool and the humiliation aspect.
It's like that party. I am never playing that party game.
Speak out.
When you're like that.
Yeah. For people who can't afford a dental gag, speak out. So yeah, that one was self-explanatory. A lot of these again can tie in with all the other kinks. The next one again falls under quite a lot is scene play, which would mean basically role playing.
Have a scene.
So yeah,
many have like fireman and somebody needs saving, or an army man and an army sergeant, or
Romeo, we're up there, Romeo.
You could be like a police officer and a criminal. What else have I done?
It's usually something that you have pre-arranged and you've got some sort of narrative to stick to. Are you going to be a heroine in distress? Heroine in distress, is that right? Anyway,
yeah.
Or someone saving you from a burning building. Or
I think in movies they've kind of done. I think I watched something today. It was like some random drama or something like that, and there was a man and a woman at the bar, and they're pretending that they didn't know each other, but they were husband and wife. But there was like, oh, how are you?
Yeah, well, yeah, strangers, first dates or one night stand play, or it could take the more sinister role of rape. Rape play is, is one of those ones that are like it is taboo because when does it get real or whatever, and when does it get fake? But a lot of that is a really popular one because you've got the knowledge knowing that it is consensual. It's something that we call consensual non-consent, where you agree with someone, usually someone you know and trust, whether it be your partner or someone that you've played with before, and say, right, I want you to break into my house and I want you to force sex. And 9 times out of 10, well, not 99%, all times, you should always have some sort of safe word, which will be discussed before. And if you can't, because you can't speak, it's some sort of signal not to come out of the scene, because a lot of people who are into scene play and role play, they don't want you to break character, because obviously it then ruins it. So you don't want to stop and go, are you okay? So you always want to have some sort of signal that the person who is, role playing is looking out for, or, it usually is the word red. It seems to be the one that everyone goes to for a safe word, red. Or if you're in the role, you can say, are you
Pineapple?
Pineapple. Remember that one. So yeah, so scene play, it can take on lots and lots of avenues. And again, it says kinky activities within a scene. Going into a scene means partners have talked about what they want to do, or their roles and preferences beforehand. Those involved in scene play often negotiate what their desires and limits are. They might use things like mistress or sir. It could, again, tie into domination play, dominatrix. It could be age play again, if, the teacher is given the naughty schoolboy a caning or something like that. It can, all of these can, again, relate to each other. Okay?
Yeah.
Next one I think you will know as well, but you might not have known it was called this, was consensual voyeurism.
Watching someone have sex.
Yes, so it's basically the act of watching someone have sex.
Ah.
So is that like dogging?
Well, this is interesting, because dogging, in order to be doing dogging, it means you are engaging within the sexual act yourself. So if you're a voyeur, you are just simply watching. So say if there's a couple dogging in a car or whatever, outside or whatever, and you're watching them, you're a voyeur. As soon as you start to engage, you're dogging. They are separate, but they're often can be.
I never knew that that's what voyeur meant. And I've seen it on Pornhub all the time, and I'm like, oh, that looks boring.
Yeah, it's just this consensual voyeurism involves consensually observing others undress, have sex, or engage in other sexual acts. This isn't to be confused with spying on people without their consent, which is definitely inappropriate, not to mention illegal. Instead, in this scenario, the person you're observing should enjoy being watched and may even be putting on a show for you. This can show up in many ways, including watching a partner masturbate, going to a strip club, watching live cam videos, or, like you say, going to a dogging area, and physically watching someone have sex. But again, as soon as you start to partake in it, it changes from just being a voyeur. It's just simply observing.
Okay. I now know what voyeur means. That's fine.
It's all education.
Learn something new every day.
The next one is part of BDSM, so sadism. So we're going to
devil worshipism.
It's basically the arousal at the thought of causing pain. So sadism,
like pain and blood, and is that?
Well, there could be different levels. Some people are into blood play. Some people, it could just be a simple spanking. It could be CBT, which is cock ball torture. It could be nipple torture. It could be anything. So it says here, sadism is typically defined as arousal at the thought of causing pain, but not just any kind of pain. Pain is a tricky word in BDSM. It's not comparable to enjoying menstrual cramps or the sensation of getting your finger caught in the door. Kink community people tend to like the term intense sensation when someone is engaged in being spanked or whipped, pinched or pierced, or whatever may be going on. Their experience may be vastly different from feeling pain in other contexts. Instead, this sensation of pain will bring on a rush of endorphins, which, to put into context, compares to a runner's high. If someone is into sadism, it's best to look for a partner who's masochist, in other words, who enjoys receiving the pain. So that's where bondage, discipline, sadism, and masochism comes in together, because the sadism goes with the masochism, because they're causing the pain, and the masochism is receiving the pain. They enjoy giving it, they enjoy receiving the pain.
It's like, say, nipple play, this, that, and the other. The amount of times people, I'm 40 years of age, yes, I've been round the block and all that rubbish, blah, blah, blah. And people say, oh, squeeze my nipples. And I'm like, okay. And then they try and do it to me, and I'm like, it doesn't do anything.
I don't really have, I have sensitive nipples, but they don't really do much for me. They just annoy me if someone.
I can literally, no, nothing.
Yeah. But if some people are really sensitive with their nipples,
yeah.
I've been with people in the past where I like to lick their nipples because I can see that it's causing them to go insane.
I have very sensitive nipples.
So when we see Rhys, we're going to tickle him and pinch his nipples.
Tweak his nipples.
Very sensitive nipples. Right, when you was explaining that whole thing there, there was two faces going on. You had Lee going, and me was like... I am so vanilla. How boring am I?
Not at all. There's nothing wrong with being vanilla. If you like
I don't
traditional
think
sex.
I was. I'm quite. Sorry, Nan. A horny person.
But like I said, you can be a very sexual person but enjoy a lot of traditional sexual acts. You could be the biggest whore possible, but it doesn't mean you're not a kinky whore. Being, a big sex whore
You
or
can be a
whatever.
bike, but not a kinky bike.
Yes.
I'm definitely a whore.
Because the two don't need to marry each other. You can be kinky and not sexual, and you can be sexual and not kinky. Simple.
I get that.
The next one is one. Can I even pronounce this right? Atonophilia. Any idea?
Hold on, this isn't like dead bodies and stuff, is it?
No, that's necrophilia.
So we have talked about it earlier about age play. So this is more specifically the sexual arousal of baby play. Okay. So we'll see. Remember that 30 Rock episode where Liz Lemon hires a woman for her writer's room who presents as a very sexy baby? Go watch it if you haven't seen it. Second, for those of you getting revved up at the thought of an attractive adult infant, I have one word for you. Atonophilia. Otherwise known as paraphilic infantilism. Infantilism? Infantilism, that's a difficult word. This one describes someone who derives sexual pleasure from dressing up or acting like a baby. Oftentimes there's a mummy figure or daddy figure, and this individual is playing the role of a child. Maybe they're being fed or nursed or weaned, or using diapers or engaging in other infantile behaviours. Research suggests that there's often an element of BDSM that overlaps with paraphilic infantilism, where the person is taking on a very submissive role. You can readily see where a parent-infant relationship might lend itself well to dominant and submissive roles, and where certain elements of this costume, namely the diaper, might aid in sexual humiliation. So again, you will see in the kink community, there's an overlap of people who are into bondage, impact play and everything, with the act of wearing a nappy, you would say, in the UK, as opposed to a diaper, because it is a type of humiliation, because, only babies wear nappies. But it is, again, one of those kinks that a lot of people are ashamed to admit they have, but it is so common. It is so common. You'll see it a lot, and you'll also hear people think, "Oh, they're sick. They're not right in the head. What's happened to them as a child?" And it saddens me when people say that, because it doesn't mean they find kids attractive at all. It does not mean that at all. It just means they want to be nurtured, they want to be looked after, or they want the humiliation of feeling like they're a baby. Again, everything I'm saying, I don't necessarily mean that I'm into it, but I can understand it.
You've done the research, basically.
Yeah, and I can, like I say, I'll never yuck someone's yum. If that does it for you and you're not harming anyone, which is the most important, if everything you're doing is consensual and doesn't harm anyone, go for it. That's what I say.
Do they pee and poo in the nappy?
A lot of people do. Yeah. Because there'll be certain people who only like certain elements of the adult baby play. They'll want to just wear the nappy, but they'll want to maybe just be fed. They'll want to just do the dynamic of just being cradled or whatever. But other people want to go the full way, and they will eat, sleep, piss, shit, everything a baby would normally do for a full 24 hours. And that was what you would say would be more of an extreme case. But there are people who do it. And again, it doesn't necessarily mean it's all sexual, but for a lot of, especially this type of fetish, it is. So yeah, it does relate to the next one, which is lactophilia.
Nipples sucking out the milk.
Yes. So
not that I do that, I know what lacto means.
People who are into infantilism, excuse me,
very quickly there, Rhys.
I know what lacto means, okay?
So it might also take great interest in a baby bottle, potentially filled with real breast milk, and that can be a fetish too. So lactophiles, according to the study, people who either want to watch a woman who's lactating or consume her breast milk. A lactophilic relationship might involve a man and a woman who's expressing breast milk. The latter derives sexual pleasure from suckling the former in what's referred to as a nursing relationship. So you can understand, obviously, in a heterosexual relationship that when a woman's breasts get obviously a lot bigger, it can be an attraction, and it could go back. It could relate to being, interested in the baby play and sucking the milk out of a lady's breast. So again, it just adds another element of realism to the whole baby play. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so next, again, you can, this is not the common word for it, but you could probably work it out. Europhilia.
Attracted to Euros?
No.
Eurovision?
Europhilia, when I say Euro, it could be like urine, so water sport.
Oh, wee-wee.
Wee-wee.
Very popular in the gay community.
What we'll say is, what is very popular in the gay community is, absolutely. Let's
All
talk
peed on someone, right?
When you think back to the episode of Sex in the City, right, where Carrie kink shames her politician boyfriend who enjoys having people pee on him. That's europhilia. People who are sexually aroused by being urinated on, it's known in our world as water sports. Again, there's always probably an element of BDSM within it because the person clearly getting peed on is the one who is the submissive one, normally. Again, it's not for everyone because there's lots of elements. You have to do it in a place like a bathroom, or put down, plastic sheets or whatever. The person has to be well hydrated, so you're not getting a lot of the toxins. There's a lot of things that have to go into stuff like that. And I always feel like water sports, it can tie into a lot of other things like gunge play, basically just mess play. I don't think I've got that on my list, but that's basically people who like food, chocolate sauce, baked beans, jelly, ice cream, or whatever, just poured all over them, and gun.
Do you remember? It was very, very years ago. Take That's first ever single. YouTube it. You can do what you like. Do what you like. It's something like that. And they're basically face down with jelly and cream all over their bums.
People would love that into that. Food, gunge, mess play.
See, I can't do water sports because I get stage fright.
Same.
But then you can have someone pee on you.
No, thank you.
No, thanks.
Again, not for everyone. Don't yuck someone's yum.
I didn't yuck it. I know it's very common.
think in Sex and the City, she actually said, "Oh, what if about a little bit of warm tea?"
This one again, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. Vorariphilia, or shortened to vor. Any idea?
Vor with a V.
Is
it vomit?
No. It is basically cannibalism. So, and it's a bit more extreme than cannibalism. So I'll read it.
Whoa. Is this the top 21?
This is apparently the most common, well-known ones. There are worse than this, trust me.
Okie dokie.
So,
Okie-dokie.
it's often shortened to vor and can also entail fantasies about eating someone or watching someone be eaten, chewed, or swallowed whole. Okay? This cannibalism influenced sexual interest involves getting eaten alive, usually being consumed whole and live by a much larger person or creature. So this is quite popular on, people who do cartoon or animation porn, because it's easy to, for example, what's common in that, because I've researched it, is snakes, giant snakes. Like from the Jungle Book, whatever the snake is called, and you'll see, a little human, and he just swallows them whole. But the porn videos that you see, he does it slowly, and it just and yeah.
I know you said don't yuck someone's yum. This stuff is illegal.
But no one's saying you're going to go and eat someone alive. They're saying, but they get sexual arousal by seeing it, which most of the time will be through pornographic content that is made from cartoons, animation.
Then
Because
how do you meet a partner? Because like you said, you can't live without that kink.
which is why they go online for it, because they can't. A lot of these you can't physically act out because you will be a murderer
And go to prison and
So yeah,
right, okay.
Have other kinks in prison.
I never heard of cannibalism as a kink. It's put a whole new meaning to Silence of the Lambs.
Put the cream in the basket.
obviously the vor aspect is a extreme version of cannibalism, but a lot of people do get sexually excited by eating people, not necessarily.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Someone eating. I don't like sitting opposite people. Anyway, that's a
I've
separate
had
issue.
too many gins. I know you said stay professional. I can't do it.
We'll move on. Right. The next one is macrophilia. Macrophilia.
Is that macros?
Macro meaning big. Okay.
Oh, giant.
MacBooks.
Giants. Yes.
Big and small. So you'd be the small one, they'd be the big one, or the other way around.
Macrophilia, sexual
I get
attraction to giants or giantesses.
I get it.
Also represents a growing sector of the porn industry. Particularly arousing niches within this sexual interest include being squished against a giant's breast, being crushed by a giant, being dominated by a giant, or being physically harmed by a giant. All of which seem pretty plausible in a giant on regular-sized human sex scenario. Though some macrophiles may be attracted to people that are just a few feet taller than them, macrophilia is really about imagination. It's more based in fantasy and the use of animation, virtual reality, CGI porn, etc., to imagine and fantasize about being vulnerable, small, and powerless against a giant.
I kind of get that one. I mean,
and again, it's not a fetish for us, but you can see. I can see the
I get that
appeal.
one.
Yeah.
Especially when you
you're
see
kind of
like boyfriends together and one's like really short, one's like really short.
Yeah, but we all kind of like the idea of being thrown around a room by somebody big and bullshit. I might have a fetish.
Yeah, but you don't want necessarily a penis the size of like that.
I mean, I wouldn't say no.
No, bigger than that. I'm giant. I'm talking giant.
Size does matter.
Make sure you look at James in the what's it? The giant. What's the beanstalk? What's it called?
I would be Rhys
Giant peach.
and the giant penis.
What is that with the beanstalk?
That's what if I make a porno, that's
Back
what
in the beanstalk. That's it.
my porno will be called Rhys and the giant penis.
The next one is the one we've all been looking forward to. Emetophilia.
Is that metal? Oh,
Sick.
yeah, vomit.
So, although it's extremely rare, emetophilia or attraction to vomit is real. This can mean you're attracted to your own vomit or someone else's, turned on by watching and listening to the vomit or doing the vomit yourself. There's only been one major scientific investigation into erotic vomiting in 1982, which is to say, knowledge on emetophilia is scant, but the themes of dominance, submission, and humiliation are self-evident within this fetish. What is quite funny is people who are into vomit, people who are not into it will vomit. So it's like
a vicious circle.
If I was to throw up, would they want to eat it?
I don't know. I don't want to think about it.
Oh, God.
If I hear someone retching, like, or anything like that, I'm like, no, shush, be quiet, because I'll be doing it with you.
Wait, because I'm probably turning on like 1% of the population right now.
I actually took out the other ones to do with other kind of scat play, because I think vomit all kind of relates to one. Again, it is I wouldn't say common, it is rare, but it is out there. Okay.
I have like woken up to a whole new world.
A whole new
We are getting into the more
a
rare,
new fantastic point of view.
This is going to be on lip sync.
These ones are a bit more rare, so we are getting into the rare ones, and we'll go through the list you sent me, Rhys, which I think there's even more rare ones on it.
I think there's a few on there. Yeah.
These last two, zoophilia.
That's
Animals.
So a man, blah, 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 romantic relationship with animals. So it doesn't necessarily...
I mean, I love a zoo.
Zoophilia, it doesn't necessarily mean
No, no.
bestiality, because a lot of it can be, an emotional relationship with animals.
Isn't bestiality actual animals, whereas zoo is more a person could be dressed up as an animal?
No. So this actually says, isn't this just bestiality? And it said, not quite. Zoophilia relies on emotional investment and often the idea that a human-animal relationship is mutually loving. Zoophilia is more common among people who grow up on farms, and it's more common among people who have social interaction difficulties. They might gravitate toward an animal partner than a human partner. So it is basically an emotional connection or relationship, sexual relationship as well, with an animal.
So when people get married to a horse and stuff like that, is that that? Yeah.
But then would you say that's a fetish, or would you say that that is a sexual orientation? It just sounded more like it should be an orientation instead of an actual
Well, it
fetish.
depends if they need it. If they need it for sexual gratification, it's more of a fetish. But if you're right, if it's just because they're more attracted to an animal...
But then we would just be confusing the straight community so much more by adding another letter to our long growing list of letters.
But hold on, it's not just... I mean, I've watched this morning a number of times when a woman gets married to a horse.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's always something where a woman fell in love with.
It's not just the gays that do quirky things.
Oh, no. This is not a gay list. This is just a list for everyone, not just a gay list. The last one, following on from zoophilia, is pharmacophilia, which is very similar to zoophilia, but it's insects.
Oh, no. I had a spider. Right, we're on good terms. Side note, right. Sitting on the chair behind the camera, late at night. I've got a light carpet. I'm in the country. Windows are open. Obviously, warmer in here. So literally, it was about...
Oh, no, stop it.
That big. It ran from the door towards me. I'm thinking, why are you running towards me? I'm on the chair and I'm like, I didn't have any shoes on. I'm thinking, it's then under the chair. I don't know where the hell it is. My neighbours must think I'm a real stupid person because I'm having this full-blown conversation with this spider that had like chains, it had tattoos. I'm sure it had 8 Doc Martens on its fucking feet. Sorry for swearing. But my thing is, I don't like snakes and I don't like spiders. But I've said, was it when you write an open letter? I did an open speech to the room. I was just here on my own. To the spider and any other spiders. I've said, all right, I've just moved in here. If you want to stay here, fine. I go to work. You can do your thing when I'm at work. When I come through that door, there's loads of spaces where you can hide, wherever. Preferably not under the bed, or anything like that. Or don't crawl on me while I'm asleep. But anything else, do what you like. So you keep in your corner, I'll stay in my corner, and I will not kill you.
But was he a good-looking spider? Did you fancy him?
No.
Then you don't have that fetish.
Thank Christ.
Did it work? Have you seen it again?
No.
So you might have listened to it. Well, no, not to come out when he's home.
Mm-hmm.
The Queen has spoken, people.
Hello.
Yeah, this one, the pharmacophilia, is basically a subset of zoophilia. It involves arousal depending upon small insects or creatures crawling on the body, especially the genital area, sometimes biting or stinging in the...
I'm sorry, my phone charger, I'm sitting on my bed, when was it? Last night, just before I went to bed, and I'm holding my phone like this, look at it, and the lead of the phone charger touched my leg, and I freaked out. And I'm thinking, oh no, it's the lead. It happened 3 times. And I'm like, no, it's the lead.
Couldn't. That's not
It says here, there's not much research into pharmacophilia, but what's available has mentioned that the most popular are ants, cockroaches, snails, and bees as possible sources of erotic pleasure.
They must love I'm a Celebrity.
Oh.
Could you imagine?
That is their porn. because I've never seen that on Pornhub.
hard on covered in cockroaches.
I can't.
So yeah, that was my list, and obviously you recognise quite a lot of them. You felt like a lot of them are quite common. And
I feel that most of those were straight people.
oh no, bondage, age play, foot fetishes.
That's okay. I'm talking about the really weird ones.
Not necessarily. What wasn't mentioned in here, which is big in the straight and gay community, is pony play. So pony play is obviously self-explanatory. Is dressing up and acting like a pony, and you can
hold on. Okay, dressing up and acting like a pony. Out of you two, who would be the head of the horse and who would be the arse of the horse?
Well,
on the stage.
It's not that way. It's who would hold the reins.
Oh, no, hold on. Just between us, who would be the head and who would be the arse?
I would have an answer for that, but I don't want to say that answer live on this show.
Tell me after.
Okay.
When we finish recording, I'll tell you.
Like pony play, you can also like categorize under animal play. So you can be like pup play, puppy play, and that's when you've got like pup hoods, puppy mitts.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Some people like to walk around with leads, and again,
I've got a lot of those followers on TikTok, puppy.
Yes. And again, in the kink world, especially in the BDSM world, again, it's all kind of interlinked. People can go from mild fetish of pup play, having simple mass. Other people full on want to have the full walk on forward.
So I can't have a dog in my apartment, but I could have a puppy.
You can have a pup, a sub pup.
A sub pup.
I
might need to go on Amazon and buy a little mask and ears and little.
I think they're cute.
Feet things.
Again, it's not necessarily for me, but I can understand the appeal. Especially.
Rhys, what's the matter?
Someone in your house. Is it an insect? The cockroach.
Really?
What is that on his wardrobe? I'm joking.
Shut your face.
I was actually looking like, what?
You hear like
what is it? What's wrong?
I can hear like a knocking on my window, but there's no one there, and I'm on the first floor.
Spider-Man.
It's fine.
Yeah, there's lots of ones we've not. I'll read out your list that you sent me, Rhys, and see if there's any that I
just double check to see if there's any that missed him.
So, and again,
the list I sent you though is a list of the gay fetishes, the top 20-something gay fetishes.
So, number one, full list, partialism,
which is body parts,
which feet, hands, that can tie into a lot.
Yeah.
Of number two, role play.
Yeah.
Can take a lot of things.
Yeah.
Number three, narratophilia, which is dirty talk.
Talking, which I thought was quite interesting because I really like a bit of dirty talk.
To me, that's not kink. To me, that's just traditional, normal sex. Dirty talk, is that really like kinky?
Well, I can't enjoy sex without somebody being verbal.
Okay.
Personally.
Number four, I can agree with. Uniforms. You can understand why they're popular, not just in the gay world. People like firemen, policemen, sailors or whatever. And I can totally understand that. Number five, I thought it would be higher up, is bondage. Number six, submission. I would again say both of them are very similar. Seven, exhibitional. I can't do it.
Exhibitionalism, isn't that outside?
Sex in a place you can get caught. So not necessarily. It could be in a store. It could be in somewhere where it's the thrill of might be getting caught. I can understand that. Voyeurism. We've spoken about watching others have sex. Mascalagnia? Armpits?
That's apparently a fetish.
To me, that would be more so.
Stop it.
Like a smell, fetish. But yeah, I can understand that. Macrophilia, someone being bigger than you. And then olfactophilia is smells and odors, which I thought would have been under armpits. Clothing fetish, which we've spoke about, leather and rubber. Underwear fetish, like jock straps, and again in the straight world that can be lingerie. How strange. Ablotophilia. You're in a fetish for baths and showers.
Ah.
How interesting. Again, we're not going to go into all this. We're just going to talk to you what it is.
Yeah.
Technosexuality, which people interested in robots and
Robots. That's the one that got me. I was like, what the hell?
Oh. 16, medical fetishism. I thought that would have been higher up. Doctors and medical play is like an up and coming. I think it's rising. The interest.
It's quite normal as well.
Yeah. 17, podophilia. Only 1%. 1.4%. Feet. No way. That's way higher.
I think it's a lot higher.
Who did they survey? Number 18, coulrophilia. Clowns. Oh,
Clowns is a fetish, apparently.
No.
To me, that would become well. That's more costumey, I suppose. But clowns. I mean, clowns scare me. Instant turn off.
I used to go out. I went out once Halloween as a clown, and I used to forget I had all the latex and everything on. Go to the toilet, this, that, and the other, wash my hands, and I used to shit myself because I could see how horrible I looked as a clown. Anyway.
Well, if there was someone there into coulrophilia, they were aroused by it.
Yeah.
Then we've got cytophilia, which is food. Can understand that, I suppose. We've done the pygophilia or pygophilia or whatever, which is bums.
Definitely me.
Again, is it a fetish to be interested in bums?
Yes.
Is that not
I love a bum.
just partialism? No, it's a body part.
No, I just love a bum.
21, transvestophilia, wearing clothing typically worn by the opposite gender. Which again, I can understand. There's a lot of straight men who like to wear their women's thongs or whatever. And then 22 is toonophilia, people who are aroused by cartoons.
Yes.
Oh.
That's always on the top search list on Pornhub for some reason.
So this has got a good thing at the end here. If you are kinky, psychotherapists advise to share it with your partners if you already have good communication. Also, some studies say people who do engage in kink are more likely to have positive mental health. Deborah Fields, a kink specialist and psychotherapist, told Gay Star News, there are studies to say that people who are kinky are more likely to be okay with themselves. People who are kinky tend to have better mental health than people who are not. It's a hard one to judge. I see a lot of mental health issues. However, do I see any more mental health issues than those outside of the kink community? No. I think what kinky people do is talk more. We have to talk about our shit more than someone that doesn't. You're negotiating consent. That community, we are more likely to discuss things and be open about mental health up front. The idea of being risk aware is also including mental health. Research says the kink community are okay. However, there's no widespread research that has yet to look at the kink community.
I think in all relationships that I've been in, like sexual relationships, whether it's been a boyfriend or, well, mainly like a boyfriend that I've known for a while, communication in the bedroom is key. Mm-hmm. You know, because you want to know how to satisfy your partner. You want to know their likes and dislikes, and you got to listen out. You don't want them to say, "Oh no, I don't like that." So, but instead of, it's like when you said previously about like safe words, not necessarily a safe word, because you're not going to go that full on maybe, but like say, I don't know, some being tenderness towards a certain area. They may not particularly like saying nipple play, but they don't want to say, oh, I don't like that. But so you've got to listen to like negative and positive sounds that a person is making. So yeah, yeah.
But like Gareth said before, like always make sure you get consent. But then I do agree with you, Lee, like you should talk, but I think it's quite fun to learn about your partner as you go along.
Yeah. So, I mean, what it says here is this survey was over 3,000 gay or bisexual men over the age of 18. And the winner was partialism, which is known to include parts of the body, such as feet. So, although they included it way on the low down the list, it's part of partialism at the top.
Because, yes, feet as in just feet, whereas partialism could be feet, bum. Like, for me, for example, feet, bum, nipples.
There's your fetish. You've got partialism.
I am part of the major community, so I'm very, very boring.
And then roleplay, they said, was second, and then uniforms, dirty talk, and bondage. Yeah. Whereas my list, I don't know if obviously this is just more generic, but as that was a gay one, they all are very similar. And
I've never been able to, when someone said, you know, like on the phone or anything like that, someone said to me, "Oh, talk dirty to me," and I'm like, I can't do it. But put me in a situation with a partner and we're getting down and dirty, it all comes out.
And I think also when you've got to be in the right mindset. If you want, you've got to be in the right zone. If you're tired and you have to act out, you know, nothing's worse. Oh yeah, you look so.
And like you said previously, consent and trust is a huge thing, especially in my past relationships and my present relationship and everything else. You know, I don't want to make my partner, past or present, you know, ever feel uncomfortable or anything like that. If anything, I want to pleasure them as much as possible. Yeah.
And always play safe.
Yes.
Anything else we want to talk about kink?
No, I definitely agree with what you just said, because I just think, like, I'm with that. I'm very down with try before you buy kind of thing. So, like, it's quite hard to know someone fully after the first time, but you should be open, especially when it comes to kinks, because there are some things that I actually can't live without in the bedroom department. I mean, like my pillow, but
Kinky pillow.
I think, like, you should try and communicate. Obviously, don't. But then it's like, how do you do that? How do you get to know someone in a love respect, but also in a sexual respect? Because you can't talk about kinks on the first date. I mean, don't get me wrong. On Grindr, the first question anyone asks you is what you into.
But that's a hookup app. That's a hookup dating app, isn't it? Well, not even a date.
Literally the first question, what you into?
Yeah.
Disney, gin.
This is why the community of kink is so close knit, because these people, often from all around the world, come together and they all share the same interest and they're all went through the same kind of story, so they've got that in common, and that's why the sub communities and the communities within the kink world are so close. And that's what I mean. Every single one we talked about, even the weird ones, even the gross ones, you're like, oh, there is a huge community out there of people supporting each other, because they have to all see each other. And that's why we have to be so grateful for the internet, because what did these people do before?
I mean, they even do, like, say, hugging parties and stuff like that.
What?
Not that hugging, like hugs. And it's not necessarily, like you said, it's a sexual, they don't want to orgasm or anything like that, but it's the thing of hugging someone. It's that closeness, it's, you know, bonding, etc.
And there's lots of other heteronormal kinks that it's interesting when you ask, see if you asked your parents or whatever, say something kinky, they'll go, woo, swinging or threesomes, you know, they're like, you're like,
that's what I was going to ask. You said something earlier. I can't remember what you said now. Anyway, do you think kinks are in our genes? Like, do you think that they're passed down? Because obviously, especially being British, we don't talk about sex with our parents that often. And if we do, it's kind of, we keep it on a normal level.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone really talks about sex with their parents, but do you think a kink could be passed down in the family? Like, do you think it kind of...
You can say the same thing, though, about being gay.
But it kind of is. I mean, they say it's something to do with the chromosomes in the father.
Well, and this is the thing, because being gay wasn't really spoke about before, you know, pre-50s or whatever. You know, my great uncle or you know, grandfather might have been gay, and it might have been passed down the genes eventually to me. And I'm like, hello, I'm here. So we'll never know. There is no way of knowing. All I know is that a lot of people will know their kinks or their fetishes, will know they like feet, will know they like bondage, they'll know they like all this stuff I've mentioned here before they even know what gender they're attracted to.
That's what you said earlier that made me think of that question.
So where that comes from, whether that's passed on from generations, I have no idea where it comes from, but it's something that definitely is within your system, and it's not something that is taught or is caused by a traumatic event. I mean, don't get me wrong, there might be some of them that are caused by traumatic events, but 9 times out of 10, if not more, it's something you're born with. Definitely.
Thanks, Mum.
in my opinion.
Thanks, Mum.
Like I say, if you were to ask your parents or the older generation to name something kinky, they will say things like threesomes or, things that you're just like.
My nan does like to educate herself, and she's probably going to watch this episode. And before, she has asked me what teabagging is. And when I told her what teabagging was, she didn't understand how it could be called teabagging because teabag's a triangle. That was her.
Teabags.
I then tried to tell her about what's that pig thing with the spikes in it?
A
spit roast. Spit roast. I tried telling her about spit roasting. She got that. She understood that.
Right.
What else did she try to understand? She just really didn't. Oh, why do we give blowjobs? Because it is an act of, what word does she use? Submission. So you're basically submitting yourself by giving somebody fellatio. So this is the conversations me and my nan have.
But at the same time, if you have someone tied down and then you're giving them a blowjob, you're not the sub, you're the dominant.
Exactly. Boom, Nan, I'm going to bring that
But
one
you can
up.
also be the dominant if you're receiving the blowjob.
Exactly.
Yeah. All the dynamics, this is why, we've not done an episode on sex. This is the first kind of open kind of talk we've ever had, sexual wise. And there's lots we can talk about.
More to come, part 2 coming soon.
More to come.
Dirty boys.
We need to put a disclaimer in. Not for the parents this episode. But I feel that I wanted this episode just to be more educational. Like every episode we do of Real Life Gays, we want people to watch it and come away with it going, I have a bit more understanding. I still don't like that. I don't understand it. But just always remember the phrase, never yuck someone's yum.
Unless it's illegal. No, I'm joking.
Well, if it doesn't, this is my thing. If it doesn't harm anyone else and it's consensual and legal, go for it. Do you know what I mean? But there is a community there to support you. There is lots of things on Instagram, on Twitter, everywhere online. You will find a subgroup that'll have lots of people similar to you that you can discuss. We are just here, and we might have even mentioned things that may not be necessarily right or true, or I might pronounce things wrong. Send us a message, educate us if we've done something wrong. We are just done our own research, and we're just talking about what we either know ourselves, personal experience, or through what we've found out through our own research. It doesn't necessarily mean it's 100% accurate. It's just what.
Or even if you want to come on the show and be a guest and talk about any fetishes or whatever in the future, more than welcome.
Is there anything else related to kinks and fetishes you wanted to touch on before we bow down?
No.
Nothing to do with kinks and fetishes and that.
No. So yeah, that was our kinks and drinks episode. So this is my drink.
The drinks.
Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
So again, if you have any questions, I didn't mention this at the start, so bad me. Please get in contact with us on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's at Real Life Gays, and send us an email, reallifegays@yahoo.com. Again, just to give us your comments, to give us your opinions, to ask to be on the show. We've still got a few people in the background that we're in discussions with for coming on as being guests. You might have seen our episode we did last, the video we posted on YouTube, just kind of celebrating a year of being together. And I love.
Speaking of which, Mr. Gareth.
Yeah.
I and Lee would like to say thank you to Gareth, wherever you are in your screen. Basically, guys, whoever's watching, Gareth does 99.9% of the work. All me and Lee do is show up and look pretty. So, me personally, especially, and because I obviously come up with the idea and everything, I really want to make sure that you know how appreciated you are.
Thank you.
So thank you very much for taking the time out to put these episodes together, put me and Lee in our place when we are idiots, which is a lot of the time.
99.9% of the time.
Yeah. Make sure that we do our lip syncs on time and properly. And so I want to say thank you. And obviously it's been a year now since we've started this, and from watching the first episode to the previous episode we've just done, amazing. The work is just gets better each time. So
Better and better. Thank you.
I do it because I enjoy it, and I love you guys to pieces. I love what we're doing. Again, the small following we've got love us, and that's why we keep doing it. Because the point of having our YouTube channel is it's around forever. So, when we're 10 years in the line, whether we've stopped it and moved on for whatever, these episodes will remain for that gay boy or, lesbian girl or trans or whatever to just type something in on YouTube and up pops our video that might be 3-4 years old, but everything we speak about should still be relevant. And that's why we want to keep continuing as much as possible until we run out of things to talk about, which will be a long time because our list is so big. The list is
and we're gay. Gays talk shit all the time.
Exactly. So I love it. I come from an editing and video background, so I'm learning each and more every time I do it. So I'm always trying to improve our lip syncs and trying to do interesting things. So I love it, and that's why I want to keep doing it. So
good. I'm not paying you yet.
Well, we can't even be monetized on YouTube because we do lip syncs and it's not allowed.
No, you do an amazing job, and
Thank you.
it's amazing, and I don't want this to end. So
No. So yeah, that's a good way to end. Again, any comments we like to know, email us realifegays@yahoo.com. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next month. Mwah. Are you ready?
Mwah. Bye.
Bye.
Yay.